So the only target that will take this extra 600 is the one that you're actively hitting. Wait. At least I should have a weapon. So it's going to be the only target that you are actively hitting is going to take that extra damage. However, when you expertise it, all troops hit by this skill will now take extra damage. Rise of Kingdoms developers finally released the skills of Ragnar Prime, the details of his skills, and today we're going to take a look at them together. I have not checked it. So far, the only thing that I know is that he is not a smite damage commander, he is a skill damage commander, which is a little bit weird considering the fact that the latest infantry commanders, all 4 of them are smite damage commanders. Maybe this is going to be the perfect Guan Yu replacement. Who knows? Let's take a look at his skills. It's an AoE, we already knew it. Deals direct damage up to 3 enemy troops in a fan. Damage factor 2000. That's good. Every additional target, this is pretty standard, minus 15%. The current target of this commander's troop takes additional damage every second for the next 2 seconds. Damage factor 300, so it's going to be 2000 damage, or, you know, with minus 15%, whatever, to all 3 targets. But also on top of that, extra 600 damage over the 2 seconds to the target that you are currently hitting, meaning that you are targeting. I would say this is a good damage factor. Let's move on to skill number 2. This commander's infantry units gain 40% defense. Why it is always defense? Whole infantry equipment, like every single legendary piece, either giving infantry defense or attack. Why not give some health to him? Because if you don't know the damage formula or damage mitigation formula, when your health and your defense is closer to each other, you're going to perform or survive way better. So what we are doing with infantry, we are just keep increasing its defense. And by the way, now we have Shajar in the game, and most likely the next set of archer commanders is going to be mighty healing and true damage. Guess what? True damage ignores the defense. So I don't know, it's going to be a little bit weird, but of course 40% is a huge number. Only 10% march speed. Okay, if this commander's troop consists only infantry units, it takes 10% less normal damage. Taking less normal damage is just day by day, it keeps getting more important, because pretty much every single Rise of Kingdoms player who is not, you know, specifically playing with only cavalry or only archers, they all have Liu Che, who is a smite damage commander, and less normal damage means less smite damage. And on top of that, many people now invested on William Wallace, or some people already invested on a Gorgo and using it with Liu Che. So I think less normal damage is pretty good. And by the way, one of the reasons why I'm making this video is some people message me on Discord, yo, could you check Ragnar Prime? Like, his expertise is so bad, should I invest on him or not? And that's the reason why I'm making this video. We're going to check the expertise in a moment. But let's take a look at the third skill now. Seeking. If this commander is in a field troop. Okay, this is important because back then, we had a term like if this commander is on the field. And when you're on the field, it technically also counts for rallies, because a rally is also in the field. But now it says specifically in a field troop. And rally is not a field troop. It is on the field, but it's not a field troop. So this commander is not for rallies, not for garrisons, purely for open fields. Whenever it launches or hit, okay, with a basic attack, this is important, it has a 30% chance to drain the enemy's attack by 20% and march speed 30% for 2 seconds. This is crazy. You know why this is crazy? Because it doesn't have a cooldown. At least it doesn't say that it has a cooldown. And it says whenever it launches or is hit with a basic attack. This means that every turn you have a 30% chance to drain attack and march speed from your hit, and also another 30% chance to drain again attack or march speed from the enemy's hit. This is really good. Okay, I love it. Fourth skill, in Audience Hall. If this commander is in a field troop, the same thing again. 25% less skill damage. Okay, this is huge. This is nice. Love it. Every time their troop's rage reaches 70%, it gains a 15% bonus to skill damage dealt for 4 seconds. Okay, this might be a little bit confusing because 4 seconds, so I don't think so. No, I think only one of your commanders can, at least 90% of the time, only one of the commanders will benefit from this extra 15%, because your rage gets to 70% and then you gain the bonus to 15% for 4 seconds, so clock starts ticking. I think it is very, very unlikely that from 70% you are going to first reach 100%, then your primary will cast active skill, and then your secondary is going to cast his active skill just in all that in 4 seconds. I don't think so. I think only the primary commander is going to benefit from that. I might be wrong, but at least to my experience, if it was like 90%, yes, I would say all commanders, that both commanders are going to get the benefit, the skill damage bonus. But 70%, clock starts ticking, 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds. I don't think so. I don't think the secondary commander is going to benefit from the skill damage bonus, but we will see. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, so that this commander is just even better and he can 100% replace Guan Yu. At least so far, I will probably, if I had Guan Yu, for example, I don't, but if I had, I could have definitely considered replacing him, because the thing is, now I do have some sort of a silence from William Wallace's talent tree when paired with Liu Che. I mean, it's not a silence, but it's rage reduction, so it kind of works like silence, but we will get to that when it comes to the pairing section. Now let's take a look at this expertise that some people are messaging me that it is bad. Raven's Fury. Okay, so it's boosting the first skill, alright? Deals direct damage to up to 3 enemy troops in a fan. So still 3 enemy troops and still in a fan. It's not like why sheet doesn't turn into circular. Damage factor 2200. I think the first one was 2000, right? Okay, so we have extra 200 damage. Still get reduced by 15% per each target. All troops hit by this skill take additional damage every second for the next 2 seconds. Damage factor 300 still. Again, so the damage factor is not changing. It is still 300, but this is so good. Because, oh wait, maybe this is the thing that some people don't realize. They only think that everything is the same. The only bonus is 200. But if we take a look at the second part, when not expertise, it says the current target of this commander's troop takes the additional damage. So the only target that will take this extra 600 is the one that you're actively hitting. Wait. At least I should have a weapon. So it's going to be the only target that you are actively hitting is going to take that extra damage. However, when you expertise it, all troops hit by this skill will now take extra damage. So I think this is actually really good. This is a really nice expertise. I mean, I guess I'll definitely expertise this guy. Like, this is a really, really nice damage boost on the expertise. If it was only this extra 200, that would be funny. Yes, that would suck. But now you are dealing extra 600 to 2 additional targets. So it's 1200. And remember, this additional damage is not getting reduced by 15% per target. I don't know, man. I think it's really good. Probably the reason some of you guys message me is because you didn't notice that. Now let's go back in-game and discuss possible Ragnar Prime pairings. But first, I'm gonna see if already on YouTube we have this Ragnar Prime skill animation or something. Looks like we do. My man Shappy, so he made a video. Let's see. Oh wait, so this fan is not like a Sun Tzu fan. That's really good. This is like exactly like an F-flat fan. And that is basically the best fan shape that you can get because it's a half circle, not a fan that we are used to. The animation is really good, but I guess the problem is I don't see the additional damage though. Boom. Okay, so 2936. But where is the additional damage? It's probably just a visual bug, but basically this is the skill, of course. It's Ragnar, it's Odin, it's Vikings. It had to be a Raven skill animation, and I really, really like it. Now what we're going to do is, let's go back in game. Now first let me briefly explain why I said if I had Guan Yu, for example, max, Ragnar will probably replace him. That's because my account do have William Wallace and Liu Che March. And the beauty of this March, if you are using William Wallace as the primary, is this talent, Fight or Flight. Whenever this commander's troops deals any type of smite damage, all troops hit by the damage lose 45 rage. So when you have this talent and you have Liu Che as the secondary, and if you don't know, Liu Che's active skill, it hits 5 targets. All those 5 targets are going to lose 45 rage. So it kind of works like a silence. It's not an actual silence, it's just a rage reduction, but still I think it is pretty strong. And if you have this combo and if you're using William Wallace as the primary, so you have access to Fight or Flight, I would say you can surely consider dropping Guan Yu, even though I just love his silence. I think this silence, what makes people still use Guan Yu in almost 2025. That's the only reason. But as I said, if you have William Wallace primary and Liu Che secondary, if you have this March, you can definitely consider dropping him for Ragnar Prime. Even if, let's say, I didn't have William Wallace, would I invest on Ragnar Prime to pair with Liu Che if I'm going to use one March only? Probably no. And the reason is, if I'm going to pair 2 commanders that doesn't have the synergy, because one is obviously smite damage, the other one is skill damage. The real problem here is that if I use Liu Che as the primary and use the attack tree that both commanders can benefit, then the problem is, since Ragnar is the secondary, and as we already discussed, this buff is not going to 99% of the time is not going to affect or benefit your secondary. This skill completely becomes a waste because only your primary is going to benefit from this 15% skill damage bonus. But now your primary, if you use Liu Che primary, your primary is a smite damage commander, not a skill damage commander, so it is kind of useless. But for that reason, if you decide to use Ragnar as a primary, then his talents will suck because it is infantry and skill. And guess what? Liu Che is not going to get any benefit from the skill tree. So I definitely wouldn't use Ragnar Prime with Liu Che. And considering that Liu Che is the best infantry, or maybe, or probably, the best commander in the game right now, you definitely want to have, if you have one infantry march only, you definitely want to have Liu Che in it. And since Ragnar is just very anti-synergetic with him, I wouldn't use him for one march. I would just go with either Liu Che William Wallace or Scipio Liu Che. Yes, I know Scipio is also a skill damage commander, but you can use him as a primary because he doesn't have the skill talent tree. He has the support tree, and Liu Che can benefit from that. Going back to the game, this has to be the guy. This has to be the commander that you need to be using when it comes to Ragnar Prime. And I will most likely use Scipio Prime primary and Ragnar as a secondary. Yes, if you use Ragnar as a primary, he's going to benefit from his own 15% skill damage bonus. I know this probably needs to be tested before we can say anything for certain, but I would say applying the health reduction debuff first is more important than getting that 15% skill damage bonus for Ragnar Prime, because that bonus is still going to apply to your Scipio Africanus, and on top of that, you are going to reduce your target's health before Ragnar hits his active skill, so I think it's going to be pretty huge. If you use Ragnar as a primary, since he just deals more AoE damage, because this is only 2000, since Ragnar Prime deals more AoE damage, of course, the increase from that percentage is going to be bigger. As I said, needs to be tested, but most likely health reduction is going to be more important. And to me, based on my personal experience, I can safely say that I 100% prefer support tree instead of the skill tree. Ragnar Prime is, I guess, quote-unquote, the perfect Guan Yu replacement that many people have been looking for. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about Ragnar Prime. Maybe because this is the first time that I'm looking at his skills, maybe I missed something, maybe I missed an interaction or a synergy. I see you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.